Hi, I'm Cassie and I'm from the Carers Place and welcome. Today we've got Brenda. Welcome, Brenda.
Hello.
Brenda's from Brenda Janschek Health and Lifestyle. And Brenda is a certified health coach, wellness blogger and writer, recipe creator, passionate advocate for women's and children's health, and a busy mum of two. Through her writing, coaching, kids cooking classes, kitchen makeovers, and popular e-courses, she inspires and empowers positive well-being in families across Australia and beyond. Thank you for being here.
You practically said it all, so I may as well go now. But you did say busy mum twice, and it really does deserve attention.
Yes, well, I see that you're running two businesses, a
Oh, yes.
household, you're a mum. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about that and why you're so passionate about positive health and lifestyle.
Yes. So I've been running Brenda Janschek Health and Lifestyle for 4 years now. And yes, you're right. I've just started a new business called Good Influence. And it's basically using my skills of old as a casting director and agent with my current passion for all things health and wellness. So I'm basically representing talent and influencers in the health and wellness space and hooking them up with the sorts of brands that we're passionate about and that we want to spread the word out about. So, yeah, I'm running those two businesses. And funnily enough, I'm more settled, now. I think just having learnt what works in terms of routine, how I can maintain, you know, not get too overwhelmed with it. It's been a process to learn how to do that. But I'm really proud of myself actually, because I'm just sort of at a point now where I know how to run things and I know the signs if I'm getting too overwhelmed and I know what to do about it. But as far as Brenda Janschek Health and Lifestyle, which is where it sort of is really focused and at still, because that's up and running really well. I mean, my passion for that, basically, Cass, we live in a world where our children live in a world where our supermarket shelves are absolutely overflowing with packets of food. And those packets of food are, or if you can even call them food, are filled with refined processed sugar, trans fats, industrialized oils, preservatives, additives, fillers, numbers that we don't even recognize. And not just that, these foods are more often than not marketed to us and our children as healthy foods. So, and what my own kids and what lots of kids are starting to see are these sorts of words like, oh, fat free, sugar free, gluten free, as though these things are really good for us and that they must be healthy. But in reality, what these foods again are actually free of is nutrient density. And the only place that we can get our nutrition is through real whole foods, right?
Yeah.
So what we're starting to see, and all the studies are showing, is our kids are getting really sick. They're getting sicker and sicker. They're getting allergies, autoimmune disorders. We're seeing obesity, type 2 diabetes, fatigue, anxiety, depression, the list goes on. Skin conditions like eczema. And um, and basically, this is, and we're seeing it more and more as younger and younger. It's creeping in at a younger and younger age, which is really disturbing. So that's this is the catalyst for my passion cast. So this is why I honestly believe that as families, we need to get back to basics and we need to teach our children and ourselves about what food tastes like when it doesn't come from a packet, and using food as medicine and just educating our children in non-threatening ways about the absolute benefit and necessity of whole real foods. I mean, if we want our children to think and act and play and grow and turn into happy, healthy, thriving human beings, there's only one way.
Mm.
And so this is kind of how Brenda Janschek Health and Lifestyle was born, and all the services that I offer around that was to get the word out. Because, look, I don't mean to sound defeatist, but honestly, I just don't know when, if ever, our governments are going to change their food policies. So, you don't give up. you keep on fighting, and we work together at a grassroots level, and we bandy together and we become foot soldiers, and we all march together, and this is how we can make change. And I'm seeing a lot of change. And through the e-courses that I run, I've got Thrive, Raising Kids Who Love Real Food. I've got Breakthrough to Feeling Fantastic in a Body You Love. I have seen immense amount of positive change, and people are so grateful and they're so happy and their eyes are open. So,
wow, I just got goosebumps. That's fantastic, and there's just so much gold in there. I'm actually going to pick up on a couple of your points, if you don't mind. Firstly, I know from firsthand how much of a difference that changing the diet to whole foods can make, particularly on mental health, and physical health as well. Now, you're talking about normal kids who don't have necessarily any pre-existing illnesses or disabilities or anything else. So when we're adding packaged foods to kids who have already got these complex issues, these complex medical issues, it just adds more to their already struggling bodies, doesn't it?
it does. It overloads the system. It doesn't enhance or support
Yes.
their health in a positive way at all. So yeah, I mean, I'm talking about your average kid here and the effects that it can have on them. But it is of utmost importance, and I know you're such a great advocate for this, and you've actually seen so many powerful results. And sometimes, like in your situation, you do have to take a little bit more of an extreme stance and extreme measures, and it can be really challenging. But sometimes firsthand what a big difference that makes. And as parents, we do anything for our children, don't we? And the thing is, there's always help out there. Like, just say in your situation, if you need to go gluten-free or dairy-free, these days there are so many blogs and bloggers and mums out there that have recipes galore, that have programs galore to help everybody, basically. So I guess my point is that it can feel overwhelming depending on where you're starting from, but there's help out there. You just got to look for it and ask for it, and you're not alone, and you can take small steps, which is often the best way to start to make changes.
Yeah, beautiful. So, talking about those steps, I noticed that you and your beautiful son have a real bond in the kitchen. So, you've actually taken a step further. So, rather than just dishing up plates for your children and for your family and saying, "Here, eat this," you've actually gotten them involved in the process. So, how did you do that, and what do you think are the benefits around that?
Okay, so you're always no matter where you're at, you always think, God, I wish I'd known more at the time, But for example, I struggled with infertility. I had a very difficult pregnancy. I had a very difficult birth with my son, and he did, it wasn't all easy sailing, and he. He was diagnosed with mild Tourette syndrome at 5 years of age. So we've had all sorts of issues. And though I was well on my way on my path to wellness from conception, because I found the holistic path, because I was staring down the barrel of IVF. And I thought there's got to be another way, and which there was for me. I was very lucky, but I was very well informed by the time I had him. But even now, when I look back and I think about his first foods, even though they were organic, and I choose organic because chemicals, pesticides, fungicides, I just don't want them. I was feeding him foods that probably his gut wasn't really ready for or developed to handle. And in hindsight, I wish I'd known what I know now. Back then, you only know what you know at the time, and I was doing the best that I could.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't kick myself about it.
Which is a really, really important point. Really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. So anyway, so food was a real focus, because he had a few issues going on. but also because I really was passionate about food already. And so from as young age as possible, and I also have a daughter, I would embrace them and encourage them in the kitchen. So from anything like setting the table to putting some flowers on the table to stirring a bowl to licking the spoon. So from really young, they were always embraced in the kitchen. And I know this can seem so overwhelming for parents because, you know, as a self-professed control freak, Kath, and I really am, I picked my times for them to be in the kitchen, and even then, it wasn't easy.
Big deep breath.
Oh, that's it. So much breathing, breathing, and look, you know, ultimately, I discovered the absolute benefits of having them in there. And then as they got older and they were contributing more, and my son, you know, in particular, he would just love to cook everything. My daughter sort of turns up when it's, you know, healthy baking time. Doesn't love it as much as him, but so when we're in the kitchen now, he's a tween at the moment. They probably hate being called that. But when we're in the kitchen together, it's where we connect. It's where we bond. It's like such a beautiful experience for both of us, and I know it. It's just, and not to mention that all these years of embracing him in the kitchen or embracing them, I mean, they're a valuable, legitimate help. You know what it's like as a busy parent? Even having him peel some potatoes and chop them up for me is like the hugest help because he's so busy and, you know, with school and sport and everything. Sometimes that's all he can manage. He desperately wants to get in there and do it all, but, you know, we've all got to, you know, have all of our commitments. So, and it also made me realise, you know, I think a lot about the men that I know in my life and how once they have girlfriends or wives, they often then become quite distant from their mums. Whereas my son plays golf with his dad, and I think, you know, going forward and moving on in life, he's going to be able to pick his old man up for a round of golf every weekend, and they'll always have that connection and that bond. And I just feel so grateful that now we've got this special bond that we're probably going to have forever because now, I mean, we even wrote a recipe ebook together called Real Food for Hungry Teens. It's like the best project, my most proud thing that I've ever done and created. And we get such amazing feedback. And he's inspiring kids. I mean, the messages I get from children are just amazing and parents. But so we create recipes in there. We talk. It allows for opportunities as well, Cass. Just the other day, he said, you know, Mum, if somebody ate just vegetables, knowing how important they are, and exercise their whole life, which nutrients would they actually be missing? You know, he knows to ask those, and what a non-threatening way to educate, you know, your children about food. You know, they become inquisitive, they become and knowledgeable, you know, because now they know where the food comes from. You know, it's not just from a packet, it's grown, or, you know, we go to the farmer's market. I mean, it's the whole process that my children are embraced in. And I love that they ask questions about food that I get to answer rather than say, you know, eat your sweet potato and carrot, you know, because it's important for your vitamin C, you know, boring.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to disengage.
Embracing kids from as young as possible, like to do whatever, have a little drawer at the bottom of the kitchen with, you know, the little plastic things that they can reach in and get to. And on our Thrive course, we see photo after photo after photo of these kids that are cooking in the kitchen, like from as young as, you know, less than 2 years old. So heartening to see.
It is. I remember, right from an early age, I used to get my kids in the kitchen as well, and so they'd sit them up on the bench and they'd be stirring, or you know, just creating with me. And I do remember sending Matthew off to kindy and him memorising his favourite muffins and what the ingredients were and how to make them and that sort of thing.
Gorgeous.
But what is beautiful?
Cass, also, because they're learning maths, they're learning science, they're learning English, they're learning patience while they have to wait their turn, you know, because I run kids' cooking classes as well. So, you know, there's a lot to say for it, but pick your time, you know.
Yes. And rewards, of course. But what I got from what you were saying, Brenda, is, you know, some of the benefits include beautiful vital connection, reducing the overwhelm by sharing the load. So you're actually not having to do it all on your own. And so that rather than it becoming a chore, it becomes a really special time.
Exactly.
So
You
beautiful.
just nailed it.
Mm,
Um, Look, granted, Cass, that as they get older, they become more valuable in the kitchen. Like,
yes.
it's not probably from 10 years on, I would say, but absolutely worth the investment.
Yeah. It's not always sunshine and roses. So like you said,
No, we have our
choose your
little tips
time.
over recipe disagreements as well. But
Well, you wouldn't be human without that, would you? So we talked earlier about packaged foods, and I guess from my perspective as a carer and as a busy parent, um, packaged foods that I guess are labelled health foods or what have you are something that are somewhat enticing and easy.
yeah.
So, what tips do you have, or would you have, in regard to being able to perhaps swap out or change, or yeah, look at it in a different way? How can we go for more healthy foods and avoid the packaged foods?
Okay, so look, as a as a busy mum myself, I totally get the convenience, but I also do really, really strongly believe that the marketers, to some degree, have actually convinced us that we're too busy to cook. Okay, and that's their intention. They want us to go for their food. They're so millions of dollars goes into marketing and the science behind all of this. So and they're speaking to our pain points, and they've convinced us now that we don't have time to cook. Yes, we are busier, it's true. And often, look, I understand sometimes certain packets of food will, at least mixed with whole foods, will, provide some sort of wholesome meal. But I think that if you're just, think about, honestly, you can't do it without being organised, Cass. You
Yep.
need to be organised. So we can't just talk about moving away from packets of food without talking about meal planning, a
Hmm.
little bit of meal planning, a little bit of being organised, and having the right pantry staples as well. So there are some packaged foods that you can swap out that I can recommend,
Mm.
definitely, like doing things like, if you've been eating margarine, which, for many, many reasons is not what we consider a whole food, then just swap that for some 100% butter, which is so
Yeah.
beneficial for health and growth, and it's just delicious and nutrient dense.
Yep.
If you buy crackers for your kids, and I even use, like, there's the Eat Right brand. I have a whole kitchen reboot program where I help
Oh.
people to swap their pantry staples. So there's lists and lists and lists of things that you can swap out. It appeals to some people because it's a big overhaul, but if you're into the small steps, then it could be overwhelming. So
Mm.
so the Eat Right crackers, for example, just the seaweed brand in the supermarket, or you can get the buckwheat crackers. There's all these sorts of swaps. If your family are used to eating crisps, for example, just make sure you go for plain without any additives or flavors. Maybe just get like the sea salt brand, or organic
Mm.
macro brand, or something like that, if you like that sort of thing and you're transitioning away from packets of food. Never buy microwave popcorn, for example. Again, go for just the Cobb's brands, a good
Yep.
example of good brands. So there's a lot of swaps you can make. Muesli bars are generally full of crap, to be honest, but Emma and Tom's at Woolies might have they're a better option for
Mm.
sure. There's all these sorts of things you can do, but what we really want to be doing is creating this real food culture in the home. So just making sure that you're well stocked, fridge, pantry, freezer, with all your whole foods, and meal planning and being organised. And what I do, Cass, I don't know about you, but on a Sunday, I'll just put aside 2 happy hours. I'm lucky. I actually personally do love cooking. I find
Mm.
it really grounding. My kids will be in there with me, so it's like multitasking.
It's an
There's
event as
more things
well.
to say. But we're spending time together and having a great time, so
Yep.
it's not just sort of me in there on my own slaving over food. And then, just doing, like, what I'll do is I'll do a dinner and make enough so that there's something for their lunchboxes, for 2 days even, or
Mm,
I batch cook, and
yes.
put lots of stuff in the freezer. You can get a lot
Mm.
done in a couple of hours if you, on a Sunday, for example.
Yeah, I personally love batch cooking or bulk cooking. My particular favorites, I make a kangaroo bolognese, but I make it large and doing one or two roasts as well that can be used for lunch boxes or later in the week or to put in make a stir fry out of or whatever. There's so
Well,
many
that's it.
options.
You repurpose. So if I did that when I do the big bolognese, because
Mm,
my kids actually don't love eating the same leftovers, right? So
yes.
you just first world problems, hey. But you just repurpose it. Like I'll do the bolognese,
Hmm.
the pasta. And then I'll do a pie out of the leftover bolognese or a baked potato with the bolognese with melted cheese,
Hmm. Yeah.
nachos. So that's, I mean,
Yep.
obviously,
Lasagna, whatever. There's
yeah,
so
yeah,
many options.
yeah. And the same
Mm.
thing with your roast, that you can do the stir fry, then you can do a soup, then you can do a rice paper wrap. It actually saves your life. I cannot tell you how much joy and happiness it brings me to know that I don't have to cook every night or have to create lunch boxes every day.
Absolutely. And it takes you no extra time to double your recipe or
No,
cook a bigger roast or whatever else. So it's like
too
you said, it's just being organized.
really, really important being organised and keeping it simple. Someone
Mm,
contacted me recently to see what I thought about. I've got a Thermomix, and to decide whether she should get one. And I actually realised, in all honesty, I don't. I was making dinner when she called me, and I said, "Look, I do use it, but in all honesty, my dinners are so simple. Like I was there making chicken wings with roast vegetables.
yep.
It's not like I'm making these gourmet things. Certainly not during the week. Just keep it simple. Keep it really basic." And that's all the kids are more than happy with it. Do your bolognese as we've been talking about. I mean, even the roasts I often will leave for the weekend because we don't sort of have enough time for me to be home for the roast. Slow cooker, my godsend.
Yes. Yep.
Slow cooker. Like if you don't have a slow cooker, then that's what I would invest in over a Thermomix,
Oh yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
$50 versus 2 grand.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
might be one of the few people who don't utilise them. I think if you've got a lot of the allergies and stuff to have to deal with, it probably is really handy. But just simple, and always throw in extra veggies, so then
Yes.
you've got, yeah, enough to mix through a salad for lunch or whatever the next day. So just simple meals throughout the week.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Brenda, we're obviously talking about overwhelm and all things health and nutrition. But what are some other tips that you can give us that help us, I guess, to maintain a balance of overall well-being? So outside of the kitchen, as you said, you're very, very busy and you have a couple of kids and a couple of businesses. What do you do to keep yourself grounded?
So, you know what? I learned the hard way, Cass, because you know what it's like. I hit the wall with my health probably a couple of years ago, running the business and the kids and everything, and just slammed into the wall. And I had to step back and look at everything and address everything. And that's when I really realised how important it is for the parent to look after themselves in order to be able to look after everyone else. And that's when my business became about inspiring and empowering busy mums to nourish themselves, not
Mm,
just their
yeah.
families, through healthy nutrition and lifestyle. So then that's when I started to work in that space a lot more. So I have really learned the hard way. And what I've learned is, honestly, I don't have an hour a day to do yoga, and I don't know many people that do, but hats off if you can make that time for yourself. It What I do is take, moments, whatever moments I can. Mind you,
Mm,
I have some strict, like, things, non-negotiables. Like I will definitely 3 mornings a week go out for a walk, even if it's just 20 minutes, to do my exercise, my sprints, my walk, whatever that might be. But aside from that, 5 deep breaths, 5 minutes of breathing, that sort of self care, those moments. And I even say to my husband, because he works really, really long hours, and I just look at what he does, and he doesn't actually take those moments. And then I do see him sort of hit the wall a lot more than I do. And I honestly believe that I'm not hitting the wall anymore because of just the sum of all those moments that I take during the day to breathe, to get out into the sun, to do a little bit of exercise. It's not a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Something.
something. And also, gratitude is a big part of our routine in my family. So um, that as well. So also just simple things that are really embedded in my routine that I had to implement one at a time and slowly, but making sure I drink lots of water. Certainly, always having a whole food pantry and fridge, um, and whatever it is that herbal tea, even a herbal tea, holding a herbal tea. I timed it the other day, Cass. Mindful eating is so. I could go on and on with my
Yes.
mindful eating is just something that we've lost, and it's affecting our gut, and it was like 5 minutes really to eat breakfast without any distractions. It was nothing, and my food I could digest. I could feel it digesting a lot better. So mindful eating. And probably one thing, I interviewed Maggie Dempf, who's an amazing,
Yes.
yeah, she's a kids author and counsellor, and I interviewed her for one of my courses, and what she said to me really struck me, and I will share it because this has
Lovely.
stayed with me, and I think it's really important. She said that you don't have to be a perfect parent, you just have to be good enough. And it was just like something that I needed to hear, being,
Yeah.
controlling and a perfectionist. It
Yes.
was like, wow, it doesn't have to be perfect. And my life has really relaxed since she said those words to me. It's
Mm.
okay. When I talk about packaged foods to the extreme, of course I don't want, my kids to be eating any packaged foods. But since she sort of said those words to me, I've been able to be okay when they do eat packaged foods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so not being so strict that you get yourself all worked up, finding a balance and that an occasional packet of this or that here and there isn't the end of the world.
Isn't the
You're
end of the
just
world.
doing the best you can.
Yeah,
Yep.
because everything has a potential to overwhelm us,
Yeah,
Cass.
yeah.
So all if we just like listening, the people listening to this interview, just take one or two things away that resonated with you and start to implement that. The things that you feel that you can do, and if that means making sure you eat your breakfast mindfully for 5 minutes or whatever, then that's going to start to trigger positive change and make a big difference. Choosing nothing though, nothing's going to happen. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a recovering all or nothing person. Uh, so that really resonates with me.
yeah,
And, I've made significant lifestyle changes over the last 6 years. And I have found that when I try and do everything all at once, I'm just setting myself up to fall. But by making smaller changes over time, it snowballs and you pick up momentum, and then it's easier to introduce something new and that sort of thing. So just taking the pressure off, a couple of
yeah,
things at a time.
yeah, a couple things at a time.
Beautiful.
And really, really, really can't do any of this without self care.
Mm,
And my kids reckon I go out a lot. And I thought about it and I thought, I love going out. Like for me, social connection's really important. And
mm,
having worked with a naturopath on one of my courses, we're partners in the course, I've learned that women actually, on a hormonal level, we release something called oxytocin that we need when we meet up with our friends in a social environment. And I absolutely feel
mm,
that so much when I catch up, get together, whether it's for coffee or dinner. So it is actually really important for us to do that.
mm.
So just making sure that, whatever you love to do, that you do take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I often ask my clients is what lights you up before anything else? Because the more you do of that, the more relaxed and balanced you're going to feel. And
100%.
it's really sad that a lot of people actually can't answer that. And so that's where they need to start.
It's a big question, and
Yeah,
we're lost. We've lost our way, we
yeah,
forgot what lights us up.
yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
a really good question to ask yourself, actually.
Yeah.
And I reckon most people will, once they start to dig a little bit, they'll probably find it pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brenda, it's been lovely chatting to you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? And of course, please tell us where we can find you.
Oh, cool. Just when I was chatting to you about swapping over, one of the, so I'm going to totally talk about breakfast because one of
Great.
the issues that I see all the time is if we can't use a box of cereal, and there's many reasons why you don't want to, what can we do that's a quick and easy breakfast?
Yep.
And one of the swaps I'll just suggest here is at the very least swap over to a good quality muesli or porridge if you're used to
Mm,
sort of box cereal. But in our house, like breaking an egg and cooking it up doesn't really take much longer at all. Some really good quality sourdough bread, avocado, baby spinach,
mm,
eggs, smoothies.
yep.
Yeah, so breakfast a lot of people is where a lot of people get stuck. So we talked about lunch and dinner and you
Yes.
thing, but breakfast is another one that um, you can start to make some simple swaps in order to get away from the packets of food. But yeah, so where you can find me. So my website's www.brendajanschek.com. I don't know if you're going to provide that.
Yes, we'll put some links
Yeah.
and we'll put some links in for your lovely ebook that your son and you
Oh,
also
yay.
produced as well.
Oh, so he learned all about business creating this because he makes half of the profits. And
Awesome.
he was like, oh, we've started to sell them. How come you're not paying me? And I'm like, well, let me tell you about breaking even, Orlando. So yeah, so he's a little entrepreneur already because he's
Lovely.
making his money out of it. But so brendajanschek.com. I have a Facebook page, a beautiful community, really engaged. I love my community there,
Mm.
and I'm on Instagram. And I think, Twitter and Pinterest as well. So, yeah, I think that's it, Cass.
Great, thank you. And I love those breakfast tips. My children just aren't interested in cereals. They never have, which is really interesting. So all of those things that you suggested certainly feature today was a simple buckwheat pancake mix, but often it's a little bit of good bacon with some mushrooms and baby spinach and avocado.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Actually, and that reminds me, I've got heaps of recipes on my blog. Like, people
Great.
love my recipes because they're not too extreme. Um, they're not necessarily gluten-free, dairy-free. There
Mm.
are some variations
And that's fine.
in there,
That's great.
but they're whole foods, real foods, family-friendly,
Hmm.
mostly quick and easy. So,
Beautiful.
yeah,
That's
highly
what we
recommend.
love. Quick and
Yeah.
easy.
Thanks so
Okay.
much for having me, Cass. And
Thank you.
your course is amazing, and no doubt you'll be helping heaps of people with this. And
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. We'll chat soon.
pleasure. Thanks for
Bye.
having me. See ya.
Bye.